I am still not ready to say that she's the favorite. But I have reached the point where I'm saying if she won the individual national title, I don't think I would be surprised. And I can't believe I'm saying that.
Hello, and welcome to the Stride Report podcast. I am Ben Weissel, and joining me, as always, Garrett Zellen. How's it going, man?
Ben, I'm going to use my time today on the intro to shout out my brother, to shout out his girlfriend. Both just finished the New York Marathon. She is a machine. Tara's a machine. She ran 2:47. Yeah, which is crazy impressive. Like, she just does 15 miles for fun because she can. Brett was like, hey, listen, if I get under 3:30, I'm like pretty content with that. I'm okay with that. And he was on sub 3:20 pace. And then you look at the splits and you're like, oh my God, he hit a wall, like a wall. Only to find out he texted us, he goes, my hamstring blew up with 5 miles to go. I was limping for 5 miles trying to get across. He ran 3:25, which is like still pretty, we'll take that. But I'm looking at these splits like, and then it's because his hamstring gave out on him. So
that's impressive to finish under 3:30 with a hamstring not at full capacity for the last like 20%. That's quite excellent. Good for them. I hope to get back into running to the point where we can be running marathons at some point. That would be great.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I live vicariously through them via running, so like I'm okay. I was like, you know what? I slept in today. I feel like I was the biggest winner today. So neither here nor there. Big winners also include those who left a rating and review on Spotify, +1 there. Thank you for doing that. Nothing on Apple. Don't love that. But hey, 5 stars, ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. If you could do that, that'd be great. Go subscribe on YouTube as well. Ben, conference weekend. It's done. It's finished. We are now on to Cincinnati. No, that's a Bill Belichick joke. We're now on to the regional meets. There's a lot to talk about. I don't want to waste any more time. Where did you even want to start about this weekend?
Let's start with, I think, the most intriguing race going into this weekend, and that was, of course, the Big 12 cross-country championships on the men's side, where we saw the clash of the Titans, Oklahoma State and Iowa State, go head-to-head. Iowa State came in as the favorite, but leaves with their tails between their legs, getting beaten by 23 points by Oklahoma State, who scores 20 points, goes 1, 2, 4, 6, and 7. Nearly a perfect score. Iowa State and Oklahoma State take 7 out of the top 7 spots with 6 out of the top. No. 7 out of 7. Yeah. 8 out of the top 10 spots in this meet. Almost a dual meet. And yet Iowa State still got just absolutely beaten down, which just comes as a very big shock to me. Obviously, we did talk about, hey, could the suspensions cause an issue? They had pretty much everyone. This was not an issue in terms of they did not have the guys they needed. They just didn't run as well. And Oklahoma State stepped up and just, massive performances by everyone in their top 5. But I think Adisu Guadia, stands out in a big way. To me, he ran absolutely exceptionally to finish second. How should we take this? Is Oklahoma State now the clear favorite on the men's side?
Man, it's so difficult. And I'm wondering the same thing. Like, I was like trying to mentally prepare myself for this conversation because I knew that this would inevitably come up.
Yeah.
Who's that now the national title favorite? And I want to find like a nuanced answer to this. But if Iowa State had finished close to Oklahoma State, I'd say like, well, bigger fields make a difference, right? And the move to 10K distance, that could certainly impact. But like, I think after this performance, when you consider that Oklahoma State, admittedly, they didn't really show us anything during the regular season, right?
Yep.
This is the performance we have. You beat down a fully stacked, or at least an Iowa State team that had their top 5 scorers. Man, I think you almost have to give it to Oklahoma State. Now, I think the big questions here are, can Guadia, who got second, and can Shapi, who got 7th, I want to say.
Yep.
Can those guys replicate those performances at the higher distances like the 10K, right? I think that's less of a question for Guadia and more of a question for Shoppy, right? I do think the move to 10K kind of opens the door a little bit. I think a larger field like the national meet, I do think that favors Iowa State. Oklahoma State has not been really competing in massive, large fields. Pretty much, they didn't do it last year before nationals, and they're not doing it this year before nationals. So I do think Oklahoma State kind of has to be considered the de facto favorites now. But I mean, I'll ask you this. Do we think that the recent noise surrounding the recent team suspensions around Iowa State, um, again, it doesn't look like it was anyone in their top five based on what we just saw, but do we think that noise potentially impacted this performance?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we have no way of knowing this for sure, but I mentioned this in our preview that hey, would the noise be a factor? And it feels like it was because it's not like these. And again, I want to couch this with it's not like Iowa State ran terribly. They still had 5 men in the top 13, but this was not a top team in the country type of performance, right? This
Agreed.
is still like a podium level performance. Like it was still very good. It just was not them at their best. I mean, it's hard to say anyone outside of Kwemoy Berra and Joash Rutu ran well. I mean, Kliplimo, Masando, Kimatai, all were further back than you would expect. But I mean, you think about it, a lot of these guys 10 seconds better. And this is a little bit of a different conversation, right? Like if that Iowa State group all runs like 10 seconds faster, you get it ahead of Fouad Masadi. Of course they didn't. Like that you could do all these ifs, ands, or buts to make this look a little bit different, but they're not miles away, right? To your point about Oklahoma State, you feel really good. Like a lot of these guys are just showing that they're at the level that we've seen them at before, right? Masao, of course, Kim Degenich, Masaudi, right? We've seen these kind of type of performances before. This does not come as a surprise. It's just like, hey, they're healthy, they're at their best. I think the Guadia and the Shoppy point are very important because Laban Kipkemboy was 14th in this race, right? Which is solid, but they don't have a whole lot of margin for error if they're going up against the Iowa States of the world to if Shoppy does fall back, if Guadia doesn't perform at this level at the national meet. So I almost have them as co-favorites now. I don't know if I'm quite ready to say like Oklahoma State's the clear favorite. I think Iowa State still showed that they have a lot again, and they don't have a lot of margin for error either, unless we see Clevenger back. But I think they're like if I was setting the odds, I would have them at like pretty much 50-50 chances in terms of like equal odds going into the national meet.
Does this performance impact how we viewed New Mexico in the national title conversation?
I think it has to because I think it showed that not only are they going to have to contend with a very, very good Iowa State team, but Oklahoma State looks like they're firing on all cylinders right now. It's just that much more difficult, I think, for a New Mexico team to break through because now you're relying on like I don't think they can touch either of these teams if they're at their full like at their best, right? If Iowa State looks like they did at Gaines Creek, I don't think they're beating them. If Oklahoma State looks like they did this past weekend, I don't think New Mexico is beating them. They need both of those teams to at least not run at their fullest potential to be able to win. And I think you have to kind of downgrade them a little bit now because of this Oklahoma State performance.
Yeah, I think I think you're right. I mean, I also at the same time just I don't even know how to put this. Like, I want to say like I still have questions about what Oklahoma State will be able to replicate on the national stage.
Yeah.
But if I also have concerns about those inconsistencies, shouldn't I also have concerns about the New Mexico guys who like weren't particularly great? Like weren't particularly dominant at Mountain West.
They scored more points at Mountain West than Oklahoma State did at Big 12s, which is not a great sign.
No. So interesting dichotomy here. The Big 12 has continued to give us some very fascinating headlines. One of the more interesting developments, Colorado third, BYU fourth. Colorado did not have Givens and they did not have Lucas Hogg. BYU had a pretty much fully stacked lineup. It doesn't look like we're going to be seeing Thomas Boyden at all this season, but Colorado was shorthanded and still got third. comfortably defeat BYU. BYU's top runner was Tavon Kitchen, a freshman, in 15th place. They have guys go 15, 17, 19, 20, or 22, excuse me. They had, 15, 17, 19, 22, with their fifth guy getting 30th. I mean, is this team, like, are we willing to say that they are no longer a podium team anymore?
I think they're certainly no longer a podium favorite. I think you can say that they could, because again, this is a group that you could see performing better at the national stage, which we have seen them do year in and year out. Like Corrigan should be better, David Thompson should be way better, but it's going to take a lot of things breaking right for them to land on the podium at this point. And again, I'll give them a shot, but they can't be seen as the favorites. They can't be. I just thinking from a ranking perspective where I would even have them at this point, but they are not like one of the top contenders for that fourth spot anymore. And Colorado, I think you have to say that they are a strong contender for that fourth spot. Now we'll talk about another team who I think performed very, very well in a minute, who I think could maybe push their way into this conversation as well. But yeah, I mean, Colorado, without those names that you mentioned, they just look so deep, so complete, that it's going to require any other team to put together a very, very strong performance, almost their A+ effort, if they want to be able to beat this team, because Colorado's going to put out a very, like, I'm trying to think from a points perspective at the national meet. I mean, it would be surprising to see them score more than 200 points. And they're going to put down
Colorado, you're saying?
Yeah, Colorado. They're going to put down a very solid marker that someone's going to have to go out and beat.
I don't know what the point total is. I'd have to go back and look. I mean, last year, you look at the 2024 national meet for the men's side, 212 got you podium, fourth place. So, yeah, I would think that they're gonna. I don't think they're going under 200, but could I see them getting fourth place on the podium? I don't. I mean,
maybe 250, 225 or 250 is probably the better mark.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think 250. I mean, now I think you're looking at a slightly weaker year on the podium if that's the case. If 250 is getting you podium, but it's still competitive. Let's move off of that. We're gonna go to the women's side. Jane Hedengren. I mean, the gap was she went 18:29. 6K. It's a Big 12 record, just meet record, I think. I think just an outright meet record.
It has to be, yeah. There's very few places that a 6K record is not is faster than 18:29.
1914 was second place. Joy Nakata, West Virginia, who ran very well. Hedengren. I think at this point now, like, we knew she was a generational talent, but now we've just seen her. Like, okay, we know she's now able to translate this to the NCAA. I am still not ready to say that she's the favorite, but I have reached the point where I'm saying if she won the individual national title, I don't think I would be surprised. And I can't believe I'm saying that. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, the headline, if she wins, is no longer Hedengren stuns the world and wins a national title over Doris Lemmengold. It's Jane Hedengren wins the national title. Like that. That's just like it's no longer going to come as a huge surprise. I agree with you. I think Lemmengold has to be the favorite still. She just has hardly ever lost. Like how do you put anyone above her until we actually see her lose?
Agreed.
But I mean, if anybody were to beat her, it's the way Hedengren's running right now, and yeah, you can't count her out at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm in. I don't know what more she has to do. I mean, it's one thing to comfortably beat like all American favorites, but like, I mean, to beat them by 50 some seconds, 40 seconds, like, I don't even know what it is. I mean, it's 45 seconds, let's call it. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. So, BYU cruises, they go 1, 3, 10, 11, 13. 14. Carmen Alder comes back. She gets 17th. I mean, they just dominated. It wasn't close. I don't think we have to really mention anything more about BYU unless you do.
I will say, I think the area that I'm a little concerned about, and I've mentioned this before, in terms of like them as national champions, is that gap between Chamberlain and whoever that third scorer is, right?
Yep.
I
Hmm.
think that's something to pay attention to. Like they're gonna need someone to step up in that third spot and and close that gap because they got enough depth. Like they got 6, 7 options for that fifth, like fourth, fifth scorer. Like they got plenty of options. They just need someone to have a really good day to be a potent enough third scorer for them to go against the best of the country.
I will say, Taylor Rohatinsky had a tough day. She
Yes.
got 27th. And if you're willing to just look past that and acknowledge that she'll be better in the future, then I think that addresses some of your concerns.
Yeah, and that was the person you penciled in to be that third spot, right?
Right.
And it's just after this result, it's like, all right, how confident do you really feel about her being able to finish like sixth in this kind of field, right? That's where there's a little bit of a question mark. But yeah, BYU otherwise looked fantastic.
Iowa State second, West Virginia and Oklahoma State tied for third. West Virginia gets the edge on the tiebreaker. Colorado fifth, Utah sixth. Iowa State went 4, 5, 6, 14, and then a drop off to their fifth scorer who was back in 41st. Mael Porcher was in 14th, and that was probably like an off day for her.
Mm-hmm.
There is a realistic world where Iowa State gets 4 individual All-Americans.
Absolutely.
And if that happens, I mean, I don't think you can count them out of the podium. I think like mathematically, the fifth runner would have to be cataclysmically bad.
Yeah, I mean, if let's say they have an average of like 25 points or 30 points for those top four, let's say 30, that's 120 right there. They just need their fifth score to not be like 150th to keep them in the contention, right?
And we've seen crazier things happen,
Yeah.
with that fifth runner just being like, hey, I just got 130th, right? And it's in 140th and I'm okay. Like I'm good. Like that's a doable, serviceable performance. So, I mean, Iowa State, I mean, they're not beating, like the BYUs or Oregon's, NC States of the world. And there's really only one podium spot that we
Yeah.
feel is like realistically open. But man, like NAU hasn't been like exceptionally great as of late.
No.
Colorado has not been exceptionally great as of late. Florida, I think was actually quite good
Yes.
this past weekend. But I would monitor West Virginia. I'm sorry, I would monitor Iowa State, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Colorado, Utah. Any thoughts?
No, I think Colorado, I think was probably a little disappointed, right? Now they didn't have quite everybody, but the lack of potency was kind of on display there.
Agreed.
Plenty of depth. I think you can be a little disappointed. And I think you could say the same thing about Utah. Just a little bit underwhelming performances. But I think if you're West Virginia and Oklahoma State, especially Oklahoma State, I think you have to be pretty happy about this performance. Oklahoma State finishes fourth, but obviously tied West Virginia at the points. And Jeb Curry was not very good.
No.
26th place finish. She finishes higher. They're staring down a second place finish rather than a fourth place finish. So I think you have to be pretty happy about what they saw. Iska Chilean got fourth, Marine Rito ninth, like Victoria Lagat 18th. I think looking good. I think Jeb Curry you pencil back in as a top 3 scorer, and this squad looks very strong going into the postseason. I think top 10 is a conceivable result for them, which I don't know how confident I felt about that going into this weekend, but they showed me a lot of progress, even though they did finish fourth.
Agreed. Completely agree. Let's move off. We're going to go to the ACC now. Men's side, Virginia, without Will Anthony, I may add, wins with 61 points, but Syracuse gives them a run for their money, getting 65 points. Wake Forest third, distant third at 111 points. Notre Dame fourth, 114. And my Hokies, Virginia Tech, 152 points, getting fifth place. Virginia probably solidifying their spot, again, without Will Anthony, as the fourth podium team in the NCAA right now. But with this performance, I'm looking at Syracuse being like, a bigger field may benefit Syracuse more. I think I have to view them now as legitimate podium threats.
And they were the team I had in mind when I said earlier, like, there's another
Yeah,
team that I think we have to put in this mix, and it is Syracuse, 4 points off of Virginia. And they didn't have anyone finish in the top 5 in this field, which is like, it's very hard to be this competitive at an ACC cross country championships when your top runner finishes 8th, right? You had everyone in front or behind them for the last, like the top 7 all had better top finishers, right? They did it with their depth, and I totally agree with you. I think in a bigger field, that depth is going to flex even stronger and look that much more potent. And we know Sam Lawler, I think, can perform a little bit better than this and give them an actual All-American low stick up front too. I really like what we saw from them. They destroyed Wake Forest, destroyed Notre Dame. It wasn't even close. They had a 6th runner who was, I think, the best 6th runner in the entire field.
yep.
I again, you question their potency, like with the way that the top 4 is looking on the men's side. You're gonna have to be able to put together a very, very strong performance to get in there. And I don't know if they're capable of that. But if a variety of these teams mess up, they are going to be right there with Colorado, like just sitting there, competently scoring 250 whatever odd points it is,
Agreed.
and just they're going to be in the top 10 no matter what. Almost, it seems like.
Did Virginia solidify their spot? Because we've got New Mexico, Oklahoma State, Iowa State in no particular order,
Yeah.
favored for the top 3 in the NCAA right now. But that means there's one podium spot left. But it seems fair to say that Virginia, have they solidified their status as the favorite for that 4th podium spot, and have they established that status even without Will Anthony?
Yeah, I think they have. I mean, you take out Will Anthony, they still win ACCs, albeit very close. But again, over a very good Syracuse team.
Yeah.
Benston, I think, is someone that is seemingly getting his way back up into his best shape. This was his best race of the season, and we still know he can be a lot better, right?
Yep.
So I think that was encouraging that he could be their 5th scorer. Will Anthony, you throw him in there, they drop probably 5 to 10 points. They win this a lot more convincingly. I really like what we're seeing from Virginia, and they've just been so consistent throughout this whole year, which we have seen them show flashes of this, but rarely do we see it in back-to-back races, and that's what they've done. Feel a lot better about this Virginia squad as that 4th podium team this year.
Wake Forest, are they a top 10 team in the NCAA right now?
I don't know, man. I do not, for all the good things I said about Virginia and Syracuse, I am nervous about this Wake Forest team.
Yep.
They just don't seem to have that oomph to the lineup. They had 7 guys in the top 40, very impressive, but they only had 2 guys in the top 20. Like, it's just, that is a hard recipe for finishing in the top 10 when no one is giving Rocky Hansen, who looked great, convincing victory here.
Great
just
win. Great
beat Gary Martin by 21 seconds. Huge result for him. I am very excited to see him, hopefully for the first time, at full speed going into a national meet, because we have been waiting to see how he stacks up with the best of the best for a while now. But they just don't have anybody really stepping up in a big way. JoJo Jordan was 16th, but we know he can be better than that. We know, like, the O'Briens, Sprouts can be better than this. But at this point, it just doesn't seem like things are clicking this year for them.
Notre Dame 4th, Virginia Tech 5th, North Carolina 6th, Stanford 7th. Right now, what % chance? I know we already asked this. What % chance of Stanford getting into the national meet this year? Mind you, they're in the West Region. West Region currently headlined by Oregon, Washington State, and CBU. Washington's not looking great.
I think they have I'm going to give them like a 50% chance, because I think they're going to, they still have a chance at finishing 4th, and
is that going to be enough?
I think they have enough Colas points, right? Maybe. They should.
So, I think I would say it's fair if they get 4th. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a shot. I mean, frankly, even if they get 5th and they have enough Colas points, and you can technically push in a team, it's just the chances of them. When as I drop something, the chances of that happening are just it's like if there's only one spot left, right? Yeah. And then they are selected and they have to push in, then they don't get it, right? That's pretty much the only scenario where that affects them negatively. So I think I'll probably even go higher. I'll go 60%. because even if they get fifth, you can theoretically push in a team if need to be.
Yeah, and they picked up they probably picked up like 2 or 3 points at least from Nutty Comb, and
Yeah.
then I'm quickly looking at Gaines Creek here.
They
Um,
probably got one or two from Gans.
yeah, they at least probably got 2.
So I'll go
Um,
60%. I think that's
yeah,
about
yeah,
right.
yeah. I think that's fair because yeah, I mean they're probably sitting at 5 or so points. Again, things would have to go pretty bad at the West Regional where there's not a whole lot of great competition. But again, they haven't been inspiring at all to say that they are heavily favored over really many teams in that West Regional.
Agreed. Women's side, NC State dominates as expected. Tight women's race individually.
Yeah.
Hartman fades just a little bit at the end there, but it's Angelina Napoleon, her teammate, coming in with the win. Mary Bonner Dalton of Notre Dame second. Sylvia Jalego third. Hartman and Gabe's fourth and fifth. But NC State goes 1, 4, 5, 8, 10, and then Brooke Robber in 12th place for good measure. Notre Dame second at 89 points. North Carolina brings back Bryn Brown. They get third place. Stanford fourth without Amy Bunnage. Virginia fifth. Thoughts? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see Hartman fade a little bit. Obviously, went out, was in the lead for a while. Didn't love that, but I mean, obviously, still finished fourth. I mean, Napoleon, gosh, I mean, what can we say? She just keeps knocking it out of the park every single time she races. Incredible season. The Virginia result was pretty concerning in my
You think
mind.
so?
I shouldn't say, I guess, super concerning, but I didn't love what we saw there. I mean, losing to a Stanford team without Bunnage and who I don't think really ran that well
I
either,
agree. I don't think
um,
Stanford ran well.
isn't great. All the kind of issues that you saw with this Virginia team, like when we were ranking them in the preseason, kind of came up where it was just like there really wasn't a whole lot of potency in this lineup.
Yep.
Top scorer Tatum David in 17th. It's going to be they probably aren't this bad, and they're probably not as good as what we've seen in the early season. They probably end up landing pretty similar to where we had them ranked at the beginning of the year, honestly. But I was hoping to see them kind of
But
capitalize on
you
the
have
early
well,
season
we had them
momentum.
ranked at 25 in the preseason.
Did we? Oh, I thought we had that on 19. Okay, then no,
No.
they're going to be better than 25.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 19 is about right. And I think I think like if I don't even know where we have them ranked now. I already did them last night, but like, uh, yeah, I have to go back and check. Here, you know what? I'll even just give everyone a quick insight. We have them at 19 right now for this update. So
that why I thought they were at 19 in our preseason. I have I did not see what we had them at ranked right
you
now.
have access to this file, don't you?
I know, but I didn't look at it. Come on, I don't want to cloud my judgment. I want my own opinions going into
I
this.
like that. That's good. That's good. I know. I knew you didn't look at it, but I was just like, hey, you have access to it if you want to see
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay. ACCs. I don't really have anything more. I do think it's a possibility that Amy Bunnage comes back for West Regionals just like she did last year. That
Yep.
still doesn't solve like all of their problems.
Yeah, Riley Stewart just has not been as good as I hoped she would be. Like 41st here, they really needed her because Scatcherd's been fine. Not I was hoping for a little bit more, but she's been fine. But like Stewart needs to be better for this team to hit its fullest potential.
Just everyone on this team, I've just been like, you can all do like at least a little bit better,
Yeah.
including Sophia Kennedy. Now, a little bit better for her is maybe like 2 or 3 spots better, whereas for some people it's like 10 spots better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree there. Let's move off of that. I want to just keep this moving here. Let's go to the SEC championships. We'll go. Where do you want to start, men or women?
Let's stick on the women's side because Florida put together a dominant performance. Doris Lemon takes the individual title, but Florida 45 points over Alabama, who scores 117. South Carolina in third at 130 points. They looked very similar to what we've seen them in before, just stacking the top 10, going 2, 7, 8, 10, and 18. I like that they had Stegall, their sixth runner, in 26. Again, just a little bit more margin for error than we've seen with Florida teams, in the past, and we still have all this potency. This feels very similar to the squad that we saw a couple of years ago when they brought in the Mazza Downey and they brought in Lemon Gold, or not Lemon Gold. They brought in
Asacol and Thorner.
they brought in a lot of really good names. But yeah, I mean, Florida looking very, very strong. I mean, again, I think you wouldn't have any arguments from me if you had them as a favorite for that last podium spot.
I do. I do think I have them as a favorite for that last podium spot. Their firepower is as good. I think that's what we wanted to see this weekend was, is your top four actually as good as you showed at Gans Creek? And it is. And the best part is that their fifth runner is probably better. Reagan Gilmore getting
Absolutely.
18th is a really big result. And I don't think she even raced at Gans Creek, or if she did, she did not. She was 31st at pre-nationals. And then she was 18th at SEC. So like, she's making really good progress. And like, I am thrilled if I'm Coach Will Palmer. Gilmore was probably the most impressive relative to expectations. I mean, she's one spot behind Deborah Chirono, a 940s steeplechaser, right? So that's pretty exciting if I'm Florida. Alabama goes 1-3-4, Doris Lemegall, Karen Kipicott, Cynthia Jematai, and then they fall off a cliff scoring wise. The catch in all of this, they went 34 and then I think like 61, I want to say.
75th.
70. Wow, that's probably 61 the score. No, yeah, 75th. Weird. I don't know where I saw that. No, there's no way. 75th. 81st, that's what it was. She's 81st overall, 75th in the scoring.
75th scoring. Yep.
Yeah. Where Lily Wallers was good in 34th. Here's a fun fact: they did not have Brenda Two-Way, an All-American ace.
Mm-hmm.
If you add in Two-Way, and Ben, just off the quick top of your head, where would you have suspected Two-Way to finish in this field?
Let's go conservatively, like 7th.
Okay, I would have said 5th, right? But
yeah,
let's say 5th, right? Just for the sake of it, which is pretty reasonable. If that happens, Alabama and Florida are like battling for gold or battling for it's this close. It's this close. So if for some random reason Two-Way is able to come back in the regular the rest of the postseason, which I don't think she is, it's something to keep in mind. But if Lemengall, Jematai, and Kiplagat are going to run this well on the national stage, the back end scores just have to do enough. And if they do, they'll be a top 10 team in theory. I think
they absolutely should be a top 10 team. Like it doesn't. I mean, you just need to not. Honestly, as long as their fourth score is like this quality, they will finish in the top 10. It really doesn't matter all that much what their fifth score does at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree. In a bigger field, this result looks a lot more impressive. And real South quick, Carolina continuing looking very strong. I mean, 130 points. Beat some challengers for this third place from LSU, Missouri. Arkansas was nowhere to be seen without Noe, which I guess we kind of expected if Noe didn't run. But yeah, I thought a very good performance from South Carolina, who is an interesting name to keep an eye on in that Southeast region. It'll be kind of fascinating to see where they land at the regional meet.
Arkansas getting 14th out of 16 teams. It's a new era. It's a new era, Ben. And it's crazy. I mean, I don't think they're making the national meet.
No. Nope.
That's insane.
If Noe's not running, no, they will not.
I agree. If Noe runs, it's a different story.
Yes.
I'm going to give you a few teams here. So third place, South Carolina, fourth place, LSU, fifth place, Missouri, sixth place, Texas A&M, seventh place, Tennessee. I'm going to give you a few teams. You, off the quick, immediate top of your head, you tell me what % chance do you think these teams have to qualify for the national meet. Ready?
Yep.
Seventh, Tennessee.
20%.
Sixth place, Texas A&M.
30%.
Fifth place, Missouri.
Now, remind me, do they have a lot of Colos points, or where are they sitting at?
I mean, I think it kind of depends.
Because they're in a much harder region than all these other teams.
The Midwest, so like they would have to deal with Oklahoma State, Northwestern,
Minnesota potentially.
Yeah, I think they're probably better than Minnesota.
Yeah,
they were 8th at Gans Creek, beating Washington State, Wake Forest.
Okay,
Duke,
they got
Tennessee.
plenty of points then. Yeah,
so yeah, they probably have plenty of points. Where you?
Okay, give me a like 60% on them.
LSU 4th place.
I think
they are in the South region.
South Central.
South Central. Yeah. Excuse me, South Central. Yeah.
So I mean, who else is there in the South Central? I mean,
Texas A&M, SMU,
they just beat.
Tulane,
I mean, is it like a 75% chance? Like,
I Yes. Well, and that's partially why I'm questioning, like, I mean, Texas, I guess. Again, they just beat Texas.
I
I
guess
mean, like,
Texas A&M has to be higher because there really isn't like the two stalwarts, Texas and Arkansas. You don't need to put them in pen anymore. You got two spots now. So yeah, bump me up Texas A&M to like 60%.
yeah, I think I'm with you because I think Texas is the only other team. And if Arkansas is not going to have Noe, then it's kind of a moot point. So,
Yep.
all right. So
That's
what's your number?
crazy. Like we
What's your
have
number
we
for
have
LSU?
traditionally. So I put 75. I think they are
75. And then
the
what about
favorite.
South Carolina? They're in the Southeast region.
South Carolina. I mean, I think you got to give them like a 60% chance. I think they should still make it, but they're in a much harder region. And they should have enough points, but they can't afford, like, they could easily finish like seventh
Yeah.
in the Southeast, where there's just so many good teams. They're gonna have to show up and run well. They're better than most of the, like, they should be able to finish in the top five, but there is that potential to slide a little bit.
Men's side of the SEC, it is Alabama. Alabama with for the first time looking like a balanced team that I can
Yeah.
remember. Going 5, 8, 14, 18, 19. Five guys in the top 20. Good middle lineup, good back end, good low sticks, and they comfortably win 64 points, defeating Georgia, second place Georgia by 59 points. Oklahoma third, Arkansas fourth, Missouri fifth. Um, what are your thoughts on this field? I don't know if I have an opinion on pretty much any of this field.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think Missouri a little bit further back than expected, but like again, these 2 through 5 were very tightly contested. This was 22 points between this group, and I think that's kind of what we thought coming into it.
Yeah.
I was a little. I think the one big surprise in this field is Ole Miss and them finishing 10th. I really, I think, hurt them. Now it might not matter because they could still, like, if they put together a good race and finish top 2 at the South region, it's not going to matter. But I mean, the way obviously Alabama's guaranteed a spot, the way Georgia's looking right now, it's going to be an uphill climb for Ole Miss at this point. Now they can run way better than they did here. This was a big off day. Toby Gillen, really poor performance from him, but I think that was the big story for me. Is just Ole Miss seems off the map a little bit in terms of a South region contender.
Yeah, I mean, well, the problem with them is that like they're not beating Bama, and I'm pretty confident they're not beating Georgia, the top two
Yeah,
teams in their region. So like you gotta basically lean on Colos points. And if you
and they
go
could have
back
picked up 1 or 2 here, and
and they
they
could
lost that
and
opportunity.
beat me to it, they could have picked up a point or two here. Now they did go to pre-nationals and they ran well, right? But they beat Texas. And like I'm not confident Texas is going to get out of the South Central. They beat Loyola. Definitely not confident that they're getting out of the Midwest. Minnesota, I'm not confident they're getting out of the Midwest. And they beat Arkansas. And right now, I don't know. I mean, do we think Arkansas is getting out of the South Central?
Probably.
Maybe.
I think so. I think Arkansas is the team I feel most confident in, and then I think it's Texas A&M or Texas, right, to finish to that second spot.
Not Tulane.
Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot about Tulane. Never mind. I don't feel that confident about Arkansas, like, because yeah, they're fighting for that last spot. Yeah,
And yeah,
I
and
mean,
And
I still
Tulane
would keep them
lost
as the favorite though.
yeah, and that's
This year.
fair. But and Tulane lost to Tulsa, which we'll get on to a
Yep.
moment. But even then, I don't think that loss is going to impact how
No.
we view them in the South Central. The South Central's the South Central. Do you have anything more on the SEC?
Good run by Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Very
agreed.
close to finishing second.
Yep,
They again, they are hanging on for dear life in that fifth score, but you know what? They hung on just enough to finish third. They look like they'll be a strong contender out of that Midwest region.
agreed. Agreed. All right, going to the Big Ten championships here. Let's stay on the men's side. Oregon.
Mm,
Oregon puts up 36 points. Abdel Lagel of Oregon upsets Riley Hawk for the win, beats him by 7 seconds. Oregon goes 1, 4, 6, 12, 13. It's they were just the better team, point blank period. It's kind of what we predicted. Michigan State getting second. Nice win
yes.
over Wisconsin, who was third place. But 22 points, is that looking like? Michigan fourth, Washington fifth. Can Oregon realistically land on the podium?
It's so hard to tell because we haven't really seen them go head to head with any really good team this year. I mean, Michigan State and Wisconsin are good, but they're not like no one's confusing them with podium contenders.
No,
I don't know. My instinct is no, but they did
we just don't
everything you
know.
could have asked for in this race. I we don't have a whole lot of information about this team and how they stack up because I mean, how are we confident in many of these guys getting all Americans? Obviously, we know Aiden Smith did last year. He's their third scorer right now. If he is, then these two like Lagel and Bishop are better than him. Then yeah, then all of a sudden I feel a lot better about the Ducks as a podium contender. But they have a lot of guys in the back end, but I don't know how confident I feel in any of them being like, again, real potent scorers the same way that I feel confident in Virginia. I feel confident in like Colorado and Syracuse putting down a like very adequate score. I think Oregon has more upside than especially those last two teams I mentioned, but I this is one of the more confusing teams where I feel like I still don't know a whole lot about them going into the regional meet.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, they didn't really race anywhere in the regular
Yeah.
season. And then you come here and we're like, well, we like Michigan State, but like we're like not even confident if Michigan State's a top 10 team. They might be, but they might not be. And we just don't
Yep.
know. Wisconsin confusing. Let's talk about Michigan State though. I mean, coach of the year on the men's side is looking more and more like Aaron Simia, I think, if I'm saying that name right.
Fantastic result for them. I mean, obviously Hogue, we know, but Thomas Westphal, third place. I
Rookie's
mean,
great.
what a performance there.
Yeah.
And then I mean, the back end was just rock solid.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Haggerty, Penwell, and Lambers, 16th, 24th, 25th. I mean, they are basically what we expected Wisconsin to be going into
Oh,
this year with a lot less talent than at least on paper.
yeah.
And they've been consistent. They haven't been like overwhelmingly like potent up front. I mean, with the exception of Hogue, um, they've just been rock solid and deep. And again, a lot of the things that we said about Wisconsin at the preseason, I think, can be applied to this Spartan team. And Wisconsin, I don't know what happened. Like the 8, 9, 10 felt right, but then you would expected 15, 16 or 19, 20
Yep.
as their fourth and fifth scores. And it's just not happening. I mean, guys like Micah Wilson, like 34th, like I don't understand. We're not getting that just the standard that we saw last year, and we thought they would be better than the standard that they set last year. It's just a very underwhelming performance here this week.
I agree. I agree. Weird team. Weird team. Abdel Lejo, from this win, are you willing to call him an All American favorite?
I, I think you I
Have
think you
to.
should.
I
Yes.
think you
Yeah,
have
I think
to.
you have to. I mean,
Yep.
beating Riley Hogue again, no one else like in this field you feel like, yeah, they're definitely all Americans, but I think if you Hogue is, and so if you beat him, I think you deserve that honor as well.
I agree. I agree. We're going to the women's side, and I phrased this in the First Thoughts article quite eloquently, if I may say so myself. Oregon lay down a old fashioned ass kicking.
Yep.
They just killed this field. Oregon women go 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, which is insane. Ella Thorsett, one of their projected top 7, was a DNF. They got Diana Cheretich winning pretty comfortably. Cherevit second, Solana Elgis third, Delia Frias fourth, Mia Barnett seventh. Did this performance change your opinion of where Oregon lies in the national title conversation relative to BYU and relative to NC State?
Absolutely. I mean, we finally saw it all come together, right?
Yep.
Like, and this is, I know we probably got a little bit of flack for ranking Oregon number one at the beginning of the season, but this is why you ranked them number one at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
You have all this talent. I think people kind of just forgot about how good Juliet Cherabit is in cross country. We weren't exactly sure what Cheretich was going to provide on the grass, but she's been everything we could have expected and more. And then everyone else is like, I think Delia Frias is the big like, wow, this is a really, really good.
I
You're way
agree.
better this year than we expected. But everybody else is like, we've seen you perform at a high level like this before. This isn't like shocking to see Nika Thompson in 9th, Mia Barnett in 7th, like Shalana Ayildiz in 3rd. Like, again, this is what you would come to expect. So, yeah, I think Oregon, you have to feel a lot more confident as a top contender to the title. And the reason why I'm a little nervous about BYU is you're stacking up their 3 with Oregon's 3 and NC State's 3. And I don't know.
Who has
Like,
the better top 3 right now?
I
Let's
feel
ask
like
it. Who has the better top 3?
It's probably Oregon, I think. Now, again, Ayildiz hasn't always been great at the national meet, which I think is a concern.
I mean, she was good last year.
Yeah, that's fair. But like, yeah, I think it's Oregon. And I think because I feel pretty good about everybody's depth, right? You feel good about BYU's depth. You feel good about NC State's depth. Oregon flashing some, like, at least 6 through 6, a decent amount of depth. It's just going to come down to potency. And BYU's got the best, I think the best one. But then everything after that, it's kind of a
But does it matter really that they have the best one?
No, and that's the thing. And I think that's where I do think it's going to kind of come down to those, like, how strong is your third scorer? Because I think everybody has pretty good top 2s. I think where BYU and NC State could lose to this Oregon team is they just don't have someone that's going to be able to finish as high up as Ayildiz. And the 4-5s all seem fairly comparable in my mind. So I feel like it's going to come down to that third scorer for all these teams.
Of those 3 teams, NC State, BYU, and Oregon, which of those teams has the best, most the complete lineup? Which team has the most firepower, and which team has the best depth?
So complete lineup meaning 1 through 5.
Sure, however you want to interpret it. Sure.
Okay, because I think the most depth you go, I think BYU, because they just have like 9 runners that probably could be in their top 5. Most complete. Oh man, I think I'm gonna go with NC State actually. I think there's a little bit more experience there, been there, done that. There's a lot of that, obviously, in the Oregon squad as well. But I think Oregon's the most potent. Like, I think it's because of that top 3. They're just so freaking good. You could see all 3 of these women finishing in the top 10, and I just don't think you get that from either of these other 2 squads.
I agree. I think BYU is the best depth. I think Oregon has the most firepower, and I think NC State's the most complete. So it'll be tight. It'll be tight.
It's going to be so fun. I can't wait to preview the women's, like that. This is going to be a fantastic title race.
I agree. Women's side on the Big Ten still: Penn State 2nd, Northwestern 3rd, Washington 4th, Michigan State 5th. Penn State's looking really good right now. Florence Caroline getting 4th. Fantastic individual run for her. But the real caveat, the thing that we really, I think, stood out to us was Charlotte Kostic in 8th and then Ada Rand in 12th. I mean, if Penn State is like on a heater right now, you and I were both a little like, we may have ranked them a little too high in the preseason. We didn't rank them high enough. Are they a top 10 team in the country right now?
I think they have to be, right? I think you look at now how real is like the Kostic and the Rand performances, especially when you're translating that to much bigger fields against better competition. I think that's where you're a little nervous about this team. But the depth is there, 6th in the top 35. Like, they have a true low stick and Karen. Like, they look just very complete and look very competent to the point where they just don't feel like there's going to be a lot of volatility with this team, right? One person drops off, someone's going to step up. Now, I think their ceiling isn't quite as high as a lot of the temes probably around them in the top 10. But I think their just consistency proves that they belong in that group.
I agree. Well, at least we'll see. We'll see if that's reflected in the rankings. So, all right.
Northwestern, good run. Like again, the like lack of like true firepower up front hurts them a little bit, but they ran like they've been running all year. Good result for them.
Yeah, and I think they'll be better in a larger field. I think they benefit from that. All right, so we pretty much knocked out all the Power 4, right? Yes, we did. Ivy League, not really a whole lot to talk about. Princeton takes down Harvard pretty comfortably by 14 points, just way more complete. Top 7 was in the top 13. Harvard does not have Shane Brosnan still, so that's that. New Mexico men and women dominate the Mountain West. One thing before we go, I want to chat about this result here. Tulsa upsets Tulane to win the American Conference Championship. Tulane, great firepower. They had Bernard Cherry at second, Silas Kiptanui fourth, Ilya Kunin in seventh, but their latter two guys, 13th and 15th, whereas Tulsa, 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, the depth more complete. There's just a more complete lineup. This gives them a likely huge Colos point. But mind you, Tulsa's also in the Midwest region. Who else is in the Midwest region? That is Oklahoma State. That is Iowa State. That's Oklahoma. And that is Missouri as well.
Yep.
After this performance, does Tulsa, who, mind you, did beat Oklahoma at the Cowboy Jamboree earlier this season, does Tulsa get into the national meet?
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking up where they finished at Nuttycombe. They were 24th there. Not going to pick up any points, I don't think, from that result. I think they have, I'm going to give them a 40% chance. I think there's a possibility that they did squeak and get maybe a couple points throughout the season. Obviously, the Tulane point is massive, maybe getting an Oklahoma point as well. But I think there's also a possibility they just beat Missouri, right? And they get pushed in. So I think that is in the cards. Tulsa seems to always show up at their best when it comes to the postseason.
Agreed.
And this was just such a better performance. I think Shea McAvoy still isn't quite Shea McAvoy yet, but he's trending in the right direction. But the Ben Brown, the Luke Birdseye's performances, the Levi Rowan, these guys just filling up the top 10. Way better than what they showed at Nuttycombe. And if they continue this trajectory, I would not be stunned to see them beat Missouri and get pushed in. That's kind of their main avenue in my mind. And that's why I'll give them 40% chance.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't disagree. And then West Coast Conference Championships, Washington State men dominated, but Washington State women narrowly hold off Gonzaga by 4 points. I like Gonzaga. I like Washington State. Did this performance tell you anything? I'll take that as a no.
Maybe a little bit about Gonzaga, but in the positive light, but I don't think anything major, no.
Okay. Ben, I think that's it. And I think
Big
we
East,
hit it all. Big East, that's right.
Mention, men and women. Men, we saw Butler take home a fairly convincing win over Georgetown. They looked very good, 1, 2, 5, 6, 12 for their top 5. And then on the women's side, it was Georgetown taking home the victory, again, pretty convincingly over a Villanova team who still looks very, very strong, even without Svigstad. They keep turning in good performances there. So, but yeah, I think that is everything.
Yeah. Villanova ran well. They put 4 in the top 10 and still lost by 18 points, which is insane.
Which is very hard to do.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to do. But shout out to Georgetown. Melissa Riggins gets the win. Looks like no Sadie Sixted for Villanova this season.
Yeah.
But Ben, that's it. We got it all done. Nice job. We will focus now on moving our attentions to the regional and then eventually national meets. If you haven't already, go subscribe on YouTube. A lot of good stuff that we have up on there. We got a Colorado Mines workout video coming today. We're recording this Sunday, so by the time you're listening to this, that should already be up. Go check that out. Ratings and reviews, go do that as well. And that's it. That's all I got.
And, Garrett and I will be plugging away, figuring out these Colos scenarios and stuff. This is always fun to just get out the notepad, just start throwing in random stuff. Garrett and I have to kind of collaborate, all right, what are your assumptions? What are my assumptions? Right. Make sure we're kind of on the same page here. But this is a fun time of the year when we can start figure out who's going to make the national meet. Because I think we're kind of guessing a little bit right now. Until we get into those projections, we're really going to have a good idea about what the likelihood is for a lot of these teams, which is always very, very fun to get into. But until we get to that point, Garrett, I'll talk to you.